My plan is to make a series of episodes on hearing the voice of God and my experiences with hearing the voice of God. Now, there are perhaps thousands of podcasts about how to hear the voice of God. This isn't going to be a how-to podcast. My purpose in doing this isn't to draw attention to myself. My purpose and my intention is to relay some experiences that I had that might help others in their desire or their quest for the gifts of the Spirit. I was brought into this Christianity through the Charismatic Renewal Ministry, and I bounced around, slowly got out of it, and then got into John MacArthur's teaching, and he's totally against the gifts of the Spirit being for today. Well, my experiences counteract that. And you can say, well, you don't trust your experiences. Well, no, I don't. But the fact is, these experiences were real, and they proved to be true, and they were biblical. They were answers to prayer. The first one that I'm going to make is just an introduction to my background, my early life and history, to give a flavor for where I was coming from. So if this interests you, I hope it will help and encourage others not to discount the gifts of the Spirit, the manifestations of the Spirit in these areas, and I hope you find it interesting. Okay, here it goes. I want to give a little background on my life, how my Christian life started. It gives you just a brief background maybe, and maybe that'll help explain a few things. This goes back to 1967, 68. And I've always believed that there was a spirit realm. I mean, always believed, maybe since I was a teenager. And at nighttime, I'd look out the bedroom window and look at the moon and the stars and think, there's got to be something more than the physical realm. I don't know where I got that. I just figured there had to be. I mean, this stuff couldn't exist. I mean, it didn't take a big brain to understand that all of this stuff that's created and made it's impossible that it could just exist by itself. There has to be a mind behind it. There has to be something. And I suppose some of my curiosity and interest in the spirit realm was on account of I used to watch The Twilight Zone, old black and white TV series, but all kinds of spooky, spiritual, extraterrestrial, out-of-body type stuff. That, and there was another program, Outer Limit. And so these probably helped to get me interested in trying to find out the spirit realm. And as I moved into my early 20s, I was in pretty bad shape. I'd screwed up my life pretty well. I had married at a very young age and divorced after a matter of 2 years after having a child, and really screwed up my life, screwed up the woman's life, and screwed up the child's life. But nevertheless, I was interested in the spirit realm. And in 1968, I was a pot-smoking, kind of hippie, vagrant, hitchhiking around the world type guy. Well, I had a car at the time, but I decided to go up on a mountain. The Santa Monica Mountains separates the San Fernando Valley from the greater Los Angeles basin. I went up on top of the Santa Monica Mountains there, and I wanted to contact the spirit realm. I wanted to have an out-of-body experience, or go into a trance, or go into an altered state of consciousness. And the way I was going to do it, I was just going to smoke a bunch of pot and try to, see what happens. So I went up there, walked up there, left my car down at the parking area, walked up this hill, and I sat down. Well, first, I prayed to the sky, and I said, I want to contact the spirit realm, but I don't want to contact any bad spirits. So I was just calling out to the spirit realm and saying, would some good spirits come and help me? Yeah, so that's what I did. I sat down and I got loaded, and I figured, my understanding, my language is inhibiting me. It's restricting me because it's limited to my understanding. I want to go beyond my understanding and get into some sort of altered state of consciousness, some sort of pure knowing. And so I figured that I would just start speaking in gibberish, because I figured the spirit realm would understand what it was. Now, this was years before I was a Christian. Well, a couple years maybe. So I sat down, was totally stoned, and I started speaking in what, to me, when I was high, it sounded like American Indian, Apache, or something like that. I was trying to have an altered state of consciousness. Now, I don't know how long it was. I didn't do any out-of-body traveling or anything like that. But at least for a brief moment, I had lost consciousness of my surroundings. I know that because all of a sudden, I was snapped back into the present, and it could have only been a blink of an eye. It could have been a couple minutes. I don't know how long I was speaking in tongues and had this sense where I had lost awareness of my surroundings. But nevertheless, when I came back, it was with a slam, and I had a vision of a man in the sky, and it was a big panoramic vision. You can call it imagination or whatever you want. I don't think I physically saw somebody, but it was very real mentally, and it's nothing that I would have imagined or wanted to imagine. And nevertheless, I had this, looked up in the sky, and there was this huge panoramic vision of a man, and he was leaning over a stone wall. The wall was about waist high, and he was leaning out over that, looking at me and pointing his finger at me. And the exact words he said were, "You don't know what you're messing with. This isn't the way to do it." Now, it was a more firm voice than that. It was very firm and very authoritative, and it was like it was a little upset with me or something like that, or greatly upset, or maybe he was just warning me, the danger that I was in. Scared the beans out of me. It scared me so bad that, first of all, I was totally sober off of that marijuana high. Now, that doesn't happen. That usually takes a couple hours to really come down, or at least an hour or something. It's been so long I don't remember. Nevertheless, I was in a snap. I was cold, stone sober, and I wanted to get up and run away and get out of there, but I couldn't. My legs wouldn't hold me. It was like these guys, the cops, when they tase somebody. Man, I had no strength in my legs. Now, later on, when I became a Christian, I could relate to the prophets saying, when I had this vision, I fell on my face and I had no strength. I fell down as a dead man. That's exactly what happened. My legs were like jello. They would not. I couldn't stand up. If I had been standing, I would have collapsed on the ground, because it was like getting an electric shock or something. So I had to sit, and that's all that the vision said is, you don't know what you're messing. This isn't the way to do it. You don't know what you're messing with. I probably had to sit there for another 20 minutes before my body would calm down, maybe a half hour. I don't remember. And I kind of hobbled down the side of the hill on real shaky legs, like a little fawn, a baby of newborn fawn deer that's spindly legs. They're just shaking and trembling and trying to stand up and walk. That's the way it was with me. I got into my Volkswagen Bug. It was a 68 Volkswagen Bug. And the clutches on the Volkswagens, at least in those days, were so soft, so easy. It didn't take much to push them in at all. I didn't have enough strength in my legs to push the clutch. My foot just sat there shaking on the clutch pedal. I couldn't push it in. Then I probably waited another 10 or 15 minutes, and finally I was able to push the clutch in, get it in gear, and get out of there. A couple days later, I thought, man, something really happened.
So I decided I'd go back and do the same thing again because now I know what to expect. I went up there, probably sat down next to the same plant. I had been looking at a plant and trying to, zone out through this plant. So I went back up on the hill, sat down and looked at a plant, got loaded and started gibbering away, expecting a bolt of lightning to hit me or something. But nothing happened. It was just, no, nothing. So, I came down off the high and just, went home and that was that. That's the background of my entrance into or experience with the supernatural realm and the spirit realm. That being telling me, you don't know what you're messing with. This isn't the way to do it. Scared the crap out of me. Nevertheless, I was still curious and still wanting, I just wanted to know what was going on behind the scenes of this world. Okay, that's the introduction. I'm going to stop it there because this is long. And in the next one, I will give my next account of how God dealt with me.